Stacy the Blackfeather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today we are carrying on with my little mini series here, decks to use when you're going through the Phoenix phases of transformation. And today's Phoenix phase that we are exploring is the Phoenix emerging phase. And the Phoenix emerging phase is, I want to say, kind of in the middle of the 5 phases of the Phoenix, and it can be the one that generates a lot of excitement, but also generates a lot of anxiety. So let's explore some decks that can, help you. Not only does it embody the characteristics of this phase, but also can help you when you are finding yourself, unfortunately or fortunately, in one of those phases. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so we are starting off with the tarot card, the Judgment Tarot card, which is the card that I use when I'm describing the Phoenix emerging phase. And, the Judgment card is all about decisions. It's about coming to, you're almost at the end of the cycle and you've done the review. So, we had the Phoenix burning, which is the Death card. Which is, okay, I've come to the end of the road with something. I've spontaneously combusted and turned into a pile of ash. Then we have the Hanged One, or the Hanged Man, which is the Phoenix growing. I am not who I was. I'm in the goop. I'm in the messy middle. I'm in the pile of ash. I have no vision of who I am and what I'm, going to. I'm in the womb and I'm healing. I'm in a space of reflection and recharge and receive. And then you get the Phoenix emerging. And I always like to say it's the angel while you're in the womb that says to you, hey, psst, psst, you see that light at the end of the tunnel? And you go, oh, no, I didn't notice that before. Where did that show up? And you say, well, if you follow that light, you're going to kind of find something really interesting to pursue. Would you like to do it? And you're like, oh my God, yes. This space that I'm in right now is getting a little cramped, and I'm not able to kind of move through in the ways that I used to be able to move. And yeah, I'm so ready for something new. And so you answer the call of the angel and you say, all right, I'll go into the tunnel, because the angel says, okay, well, if you just go into that tunnel and you follow that light, you will get to the other side. And there's, magic and wonderful and, all the things and the stuff. And so you get really excited and you start to go into the birth canal. And, maybe a couple of minutes in, you realize, oh my God, what have I done? This is icky and sticky and ooey and gooey, and I'm cramped and there's nowhere to breathe. And this is hard and I don't understand what's happening. You say, I want my money back. I changed my mind. I want to go back into the womb. And the angel says, I'm so sorry you made this choice. It was a one-way ticket. Oops, did I not tell you that? But don't worry. Keep moving forward. You will eventually get to where you need to be. There's going to be a lot of, I like to say, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back when you're in this phase. There's a lot of contraction, but in that contraction, there's a lot of expansion. There's a lot of ground gained. There's a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And yeah, you're working to learn this new version of self, or you're working to, actually, it's not even learning this version of self. You're working to birth this new version of self. You don't even know who this person is going to be, but you're like, I don't want to just sit and do nothing anymore. It's time for me to kind of grow. And I do see a hint, a sliver of what this could be. And that's what keeps me moving forward. This card and this Phoenix phase also really indicates a lot of times when we're talking about that Phoenix emerging phase, it indicates a lot of times that you don't really know who you're becoming. And there's fear. We always, as humans, we contract before we expand. We always get smaller before we drum up the courage to get bigger. And the Phoenix emerging phase, embodies a lot of that. And so the decks that I've chosen today are going to, I want to say, support you when you're in that phase. And so the first deck that I chose to talk about is the After Tarot. Tarot, one moment after. And I thought, this is the perfect deck and deck concept. So this is by Corinne Kenner. This is the perfect deck to really embody this particular phase, because it is when we make that choice. This is the 1 minute after we make that choice. This is the 1 minute after, the tower falls on your head. This is the one moment after you've gone through this phoenix phase, and you're moving into the next phoenix phase. What comes after it? And so, the phoenix growing, there's no vision. Well, now here in the phoenix emerging, there's the sliver of a vision, the hint of a vision. So this is a very good quality cardstock. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. Not super shiny, but shiny enough. It is reversible. They are thinner than, I want to say, the average, tarot deck. Slightly thinner, slightly smaller, but definitely very easy to work with. So let's just kind of take a peek. So here what we've got is the Two of Wands, which is direction. I think that's really interesting that we're pulling that for this, because it is making the choice to take a new direction. You don't know exactly what you're going to learn with the world. And this person is handing off the world to this person, saying, I'm passing the torch on to you. I've got a new venture that I'm going to take. I hand it off to you. Now you can enjoy learning all there is to learn about this world as I go and learn about my next world, my new world. What is to come for me? And this whole concept in this particular tarot deck is you're seeing the regular Rider-Waite-Smith 1 minute after you've witnessed the original card deck, right? So this is 1 minute. Normally we just see this guy looking out over, the waters and seeing maybe some ships coming in, what that looks like. Well, now 1 minute after, you're seeing that somebody's joining him. He's handing it off. So it's showing that he's made a decision. It's showing that he's getting ready to step into a new direction. Here we have the Six of Pentacles. So it's a card of generosity. Well, what we're seeing here is he gave to these two individuals and he still continues to give to another person. Yes, he's got a scale. And, that leaves a lot to interpretation. Is he judging people? Did he give this person as much as he's giving this person? What's his system? But the point is, you're getting a glimpse into the tarot, the after the tarot. We get so used to the original imagery. Well, the series that's come up a lot now is, the before tarot, the in-between tarot, the after tarot. And I think it's wonderful. And so this makes sense. It's after you've recharged and rested and regrouped. You've been given a sliver. So what will you do with that sliver of vision? Will you pursue it? Will you follow it? What's going to happen? Here we see a beautiful falcon, phoenix, eagle, bird who's shed a feather. And this makes me think of the magic feather in Dumbo. And that's how I got my name, the Black Feather Intuitive, because the magic feather is the confidence, right? Like the crows and the mouse give Dumbo his confidence when really he could fly the whole time. He just needed, the magic feather, the black feather. That's how I got my name, the Black Feather Intuitive. He needed the magic feather in order to be able to fly. Everybody else knew he could fly. He just needed that little boost. And I feel like that's what we need a lot of times when we are in this, sort of phoenix emerging phase. It takes a lot of effort and energy. This is a phase where you are going to be moving a lot. Things are going to happen pretty quickly. Here, the Ace of Pentacles, they're holding a beetle. The scarab beetle, which is also a symbol of the phoenix, or of transformation, I should say, represents the similar characteristics of the phoenix. So I think that's fascinating that they have that in the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles is typically about planting a seed. You've planted the seed, and now there is a creature that is going to take advantage of the seed in the garden that you're planting, because it's the right kind of garden. Here we have collaboration, paying attention to the details and collaboration that's being shown. We never see this statue here. Well, now he's actually paying attention. So he's giving us a glimpse into what can be on the other side of this. Here we have the juggler, the balance and the resource. And we're seeing, normally we see the front of him. Now we're seeing the back of him, and he's watching people leaving. He's watching these are the people that he entertained, and now they're leaving. And he's kind of going, okay, so what's next? Maybe there's relief after this. Maybe because they're leaving, he's got the resources for one more day, and he's waiting for another ship to come in so that he can entertain more people. Here we have the Four of Coins, and how interesting that death is coming to this individual who is, in greed and lack and scarcity. And death is behind him to say, we need to get rid of this because there's so much more that's available for you. But if you stay stuck, if you refuse, if you contract and you refuse to expand and to move forward, if you resist the contraction and the expansion, then we have to remove it because there is so much for you on the other side. So this is a really great deck, I feel, when you are in this Phoenix emerging phase, because the deck itself is going to remind you that there is something that comes after these beloved, images that we're so used to seeing. What comes after? It helps to stimulate the imagination, to stimulate the desire to create a new vision for yourself. And this deck, the guidance that it gives and provides, also allows you to really open up into what that vision can become, so that you're not stuck in the same thing. I love this. The heart, the swords have been removed from the heart in the Three of Swords, and it's been bandaged, and it's been bandaged with love and care. Self-care happens after this. Healing does happen after a broken heart or after betrayal. Here we have the Four of Swords. So, she's laying the flower on him. She's acknowledging, the truce that occurred. White flower, truce. So I chose this deck because it really is, quite frankly, the perfect embodiment of what it means to choose to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to pursue it. That's exactly what happens with the After Tarot. We can look at the tarot all day long and try to, interpret the images and understand what's happening. This gives you a different perspective. And that's exactly what the Phoenix emerging is all about. It's a fresh new perspective. It's a journey that you're not sure about. You don't know exactly what's going to happen on the other side of it. But at this point, hopefully you are ready because you've made the choice. You've answered the call. You're ready for something new and different. And this deck gives you the courage as well as the insight to see what is possible about what is going to come next. Helps you to extrapolate in a healthy way the potentials and the possibilities of what you're stepping into. The Phoenix emerging phase is a sticky wicket at times. Again, it can be really uncomfortable, but it is also really exciting. And that's something that you need when you're going through this. You need to feel excitement. You need to know that there's something on the other side of it. Otherwise, you would just be like, okay, I'm just going to stay stuck. I'm going to just go back into the womb and mind my own business, right? So the After Tarot is perfect for this particular Phoenix phase. And, it's familiar because it is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. So it's not like you have a lot to learn. It's more like a continuation of the story. And isn't that exactly what the Phoenix emerging phase is all about? It's the continuation of the story. It's the, I want to say it's the sequel. It's the part 2 of the smash hit blockbuster movie. It's the part 2. And I know some of you are going to say, well, the part 2 often sucks and, parts 1 and 3 are better. Well, maybe that's true. Because there is a lot of push-pull and there is a lot of unknown and trying to, sort and figure things out. But that's what the After Tarot, sort of brings to the table and brings into your energy. The second deck that I chose for this particular phase is Into the Shadow Oracle. And this is by Mercy Morgana. And I believe she's in Canada. I got this on I believe it's her Etsy channel. This deck blew my mind, just blew me away. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. I mean, even I don't like these tuck boxes, but it's a high quality tuck box. So I don't even have issue, opening it up. I didn't have issue. I didn't have to tear anything open. Really high quality. It's like velvet. It's not even rose petal finish. It's like velvet. When you're looking at the backs of it, obviously we've got, dark features, dark energy. The colors are so rich, so beautiful. And when we are going through this Phoenix emerging phase, we are doing a lot of, I want to say, evaluation. We're doing a lot of looking at the past, what we've been through. Obviously, in the Phoenix growing, we did a lot of reflection and receiving. Well, now it's applying the wisdom of what you've received. And, for example, intuition, trust your inner wisdom. The orphan, experience brings empathy. So this deck helps you to dive into the why, dive into the shadow. And you might think, well, isn't that what we're doing in the Phoenix growing phase? Not necessarily. The Phoenix growing phase, you are recouping. You're trying to understand. It can be a shock. It can be a shock to the system to have to let things go. It's like after the earthquake, you're a little bit stunned. You're walking around and you can't believe that it's happened. So the Phoenix emerging phase is where the shock has worn off, the reality has set in, and now you recognize there's only forward. There's no going back. We can only move forward. And what does that look like? And so this deck, I feel, really helps you when you are in that birth canal energy. Because again, contraction leads to expansion, but contraction happens when we have to look at things that we don't necessarily want to look at. Things that are uncomfortable, choices that we make that maybe we weren't proud of. Wounds, things that people have said to us that have, deeply hurt us, and vice versa, that we have said things that have deeply hurt others. How do we reconcile that as we are moving forward and birthing ourselves into a new version of who we want to be? This is a deck that helps all of that. And it does it in this is one of my favorites, misspoken, spoken words echo forever. Like, it's so true. It's spell casting, and words are so, like, you have to really be cognizant of the words that you use because they last forever. They linger. It's one thing that you can't take back. There's very few things in life, I want to say, that you can't undo or, try to fix or to clear up. Words are one thing that you can't take it back. You can heal from it. You can forgive. You can be forgiven. But the words are always there. It was spoken. It's out there. Misunderstood. Intentions adrift. So this deck really embodies that component of the Phoenix emerging, where you are birthing yourself anew. And the only way that you're going to birth yourself anew is by facing who you used to be, facing what brought you to this moment. Phoenix growing, you're evaluating that stuff is like coming to you. It's like insight that comes into you. This is now the application of that. This is now okay, how am I going to use this to make it work for me? I'm going to use this as fuel to get me, needs, filling the emotional void. Okay, so there's an emotional void here. I'm an emotional eater, so I'll use that as the analogy. When this card comes up, I have to ask myself, okay, what am I trying to avoid, or what hole am I filling by eating this food? Because clearly the food makes me feel good for about half a second. And then, I'm still feeling the same thing, or I'm going back to the fridge for something else. Clearly, it's not filling the need, because you have to have the right tool for the job, right? Running, confront what you avoid. So stop running. Stop using that as your defense mechanism, right? The lover, seek healthy expression connected to the heart. Break those chains off the heart. No codependency here. The innocent, explore realistic optimism. This deck also really gives you, I want to say, guidance that points you in the direction of what got you here in the first place, so that you can heal it while you are birthing yourself anew. It's part of the fodder. It's part of the fertilizer for what you're going into. Image, how do others see you? And this isn't about you should you should reinvent yourself so that you're pleasing others. It's not about pleasing people. It's more of the take the hard look. How do others really see you? And is that really reflective of who you are on the inside? Because maybe they're seeing you in that way because of a choice that you're making or a behavior. Maybe they're seeing you in that way because you're holding back your heart. You're not being completely honest or authentic in who you really are. The destroyer, fight for a good cause. Kindness, embrace self-compassion. That's a big one. When this one comes up for me in a reading, it's usually because I'm slipping into a victim mode, or I'm unconsciously judging someone. Kindness, embrace self-compassion. Be compassionate for myself, because if I'm judging another person, I'm probably judging it within myself. So I need to be kind to myself first, and then I can be kind to others, right? Like, it's a reminder. It's a gentle reminder, and maybe a not so gentle reminder. And the imagery is just gorgeous. So this deck, I feel, is kind of quintessential when you are going through a Phoenix emerging phase, because it's going to keep things real. It's going to really give you the heart of the matter to look at, even if it's the harsh truth, so that while you are in the birthing process, you can use it and alchemize it, so that when you come out the other side, it looks different, or it's been integrated so that it's not a hindrance. It's something that you've learned from, and you've grown from it. And when we know better, we do better. And so now you've known it, you've integrated it, and now you do better. Now it's no longer an issue. It's not going to chase you. It's not something that you have to continuously relive. You've learned it. So that is the Into the Shadow Oracle from Mercy Morgana. I have to tell you, go on Etsy, especially if you really like this imagery. You will not be disappointed in this deck. I mean, it's high quality. They're larger cards. Everything about it. I just love it. And it is perfect for this particular Phoenix emerging phase. I just love it. And the third deck that we're going to talk about today is the Mystic Augur and Sage Oracle. This also is a deck that is fairly new to me. I've had it for, I think, 3 months. And it came out a couple of years ago. I didn't even know it existed. This is Kelly Burton, I think is her name. And she does The Secret Language of Bees series. And I had The Secret Language of Bees. I ordered the first one, and it just was not my jam. I ended up giving it away to a friend. But I've always enjoyed supporting her work. And this came up as an add-on to her butterfly. I can't remember now what it's called. Journey of the Butterfly or something. It just came out. I mean, this woman does cards right. Everything is class from beginning to end. The presentation is incredible. The cardstock is exceptional. You can see here that it's beautifully gilded, and it's gilded in this kind of rose gold, coppery color. It's absolutely stunning. And so let's just kind of take a look. And the reason why I chose this deck, Eternal Vision, for this particular phase is exactly this, because this deck gives you multiple tastes of vision, so that as you are moving through the birth canal, you have option to say, yes, I want that. No, don't want that. Or I want more of this and less of this. It's almost like this deck acts like a recipe, like different ingredients. The Falcon of Freya, the Otherworld. I love this card. The Otherworld, you have a mushroom light. You've got all of the kind of starlight that's here. And you also have the pomegranates to symbolize the underworld. You've got this stairway. Yeah, I think this deck really is a great imagination starter, shows you the potential of what can become. The coloring is beautiful. I believe they consider this a collage style deck because there is a lot of busy work on the cards, seasons of change. It's encouraging you. Yeah, you're going through this, and it might be a little uncomfortable. You're contracting right now, but it is a natural part of the process. You are going to change. That's life. and see this as a rite of passage. See this as an adventure and a journey of graduation, of ascension, acceleration towards who you really want to be. This is the opportunity to reinvent yourself or to become somebody that you've been working to become. This is just the next level of it, the next layer of it, the visionary Athena. Practice patience. So I chose this deck for this particular phase because of that reasoning. The coloring is beautiful. The imagery is, I want to say, easier to receive from. It's beautiful to look at, which we kind of need when we're, giving birth to ourselves. It's not an easy process. Like I said, it's icky and sticky and ooey and gooey. It's really uncomfortable. There's crampiness. Nobody likes to feel that crampiness. You just want the relief after that. And I feel like this deck is kind of that perfect midwife who stands next to you and says, I understand, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I also know that you are strong enough. You've got this. You can do this. I believe in you. And I'm going to hold your hand and I'm going to let you curse and swear, but I'm also not going to give you bullshit. I'm not going to give you sunshine and daisies, wine and roses. I'm going to be your companion through this. I'm going to support you through this. When you're going through a difficult contraction, so am I. And I'm going to give you what it is that you need to get through it. I'm going to remind you why you're doing this. And even though you can't see that version of you on the other side yet, I'm going to show you what that version can be. And that's going to empower you to keep going, to do the hard work. Just one more contraction, one more deep breath. You can do this. No, I can't. Yes, you can. Chiron, the teacher, the wounded healer. You've been through worse. Yes, this sucks right now. Presently, right now, you wish you were anywhere else but here. But this is where you're at. And there's no going backwards. You can only move forwards. And I feel like this deck does exactly that. So we're going to call this deck the Mystic Augur and Sage. This is the midwife, and or the birthing coach. If you prefer that title, that label, and it's very powerful. Again, we're not sugarcoating this. Birth is not pretty, but birth can be powerful. Birth is, I want to say, a game changer. Birth is a confidence booster. I've spoken to a lot of women who say, like, okay, if I just, gave birth to a watermelon out of my vagina, I can do anything. Like, I feel like I'm a super hero. And really you are, right? Quite frankly, really you are. And that's what this card does. Card deck does. It walks you through it. It says, yeah, there is a lot of shift and change. Yeah, this really does fucking suck. But I assure you, you will survive and you are coming out the other side of this. There's so much more that you're going to become, and you'll be happy on the other side of it. There are gifts, life force. Remember that you are living and breathing in this body, and that itself is a gift. Use that life force, the rewilding. Sorry, I'll just cover that really quickly because of the nudity. Succeed and adapt. The Philosopher's Stone. There's so much more possibility out there for you. So yeah, that is the Mystic Augur and Sage Oracle from Kelly Burton. And honestly, I really feel like this deck really kind of hits the mark and hits home. All right, so that is our Decks for Transformation Phoenix Emerging episode, and it was so fun to be able to share this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed my selections. If you have some selections of your own that you'd like to share, make a video at me, at the Black Feather Intuitive. I would love to watch it. Put some comments in there. Let me know what you thought about these decks and maybe some suggestions that you have for your own journey. I would love to learn that. And I love seeing what other people's perspective of the world is through tarot and oracle. So until we see you for another episode of Divinely Decked, sending you lots of love, lots of support. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well.
That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.